Viewers, welcome to Perspective on Independent Television. My name is Gabriel Bakari, and of course, it's a program that takes your angle on top two issues of the day. And of course, talking about top two issues, we shall be looking at the hike in electricity tariff for the NEC, the National Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, said would directly impact on Band A customers. That the increase is for Band A customers, and a lot of Nigerians across various spectrum have said that this increase would affect the lives of Nigerians generally. Well, I have a guest with me in the studio today, and he's the former Attorney General of Edo State, and of course, he's going to show light on this issue of the hike in electricity. He is no any other person but Barrister Henry Idehabo. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right, sir. At a time like this, I want to have your take of the moment, the first week of April, you heard NEC announce increase from 60 or 77 naira, to over 200 naira, hike in electricity tariff. What's your take on it?
Okay, before we can do justice to the issue of the hike in electricity tariff, I think it is important that we have a summary of what the country looked like economically May 29, 2023, when this government came into power. I think there is a consensus amongst Nigerians, even from external watchers of events, that as at May 2023, Nigeria was running on autopilot. Nigeria was sitting on the precipice, just waiting to roll over. It's like the mountains around you here. Somebody staying on top of the mountain and waiting to roll off the mountain. The situation of the country economically was precarious, and we now know some of the reasons. EFCC said yesterday that, for example, the central bank governors at then printed about 678 million with 18 billion. You print less than 1 billion with 18 billion. So with all those kind of things happening in the country, it was no doubt that we were at our lowest ebb economically. So some of the reform agenda, which is part of this electricity hike of the current president, can be understood from that perspective, that there is a need for a radical departure from the old existing order. Some of the freebies we've been having as a country had to go if the country must continue to survive economically. So, but having said that, I believe the hike in electricity tariff is another removal of subsidy too soon, especially after we are still grappling with the removal of the fuel subsidy. On my way to this program, I bought fuel in Abuja today at 750 naira per liter from a petrol station, not from any roadside seller. And we are yet to, the salaries have remained the same. The government is still negotiating with labor on the appropriate minimum wage for the country. So the hiking or the increase in the electricity tariffs in April, for me, I believe is one policy that is too much for the Nigerian people to bear. Now, Nigerians are suffocating. We need to breathe because we are not breathing. I can tell you for free that, of course, we know for a long time that there's been no more middle class in this country. The middle class have been wiped off. But even the people you think are the elites now, they can't breathe. People as big as directors in the government, 90% of their income now goes towards buying fuel and paying for electricity. The band A, it was increased from about 17 naira to 225 naira per kilowatt. And unfortunately, even the light is still not there. The light is not available. But anytime you recharge, people used to recharge for 50,000 for a month. Now have to recharge with about 120,000, 130,000 for a month just for electricity. That most time is not even available. So I think the government must make haste slowly on this issue of removing subsidy in all facets of the Nigerian life. Yes, like I said at the beginning, we'll understand the economy was comatose and there is a need to rejig, to introduce some shock therapy. But there's a limit to which the people can receive all the shock at once. Yeah, the government has, the government for now, the government has guaranteed 4 years. And all the shock therapies should not be implemented within the first 12 months of the tenure. And by the grace of God, the government is doing well. So they are likely to get another for it to be 8 years. Let them span out this shock therapy. Let us absorb one shock first. And when we are now at home with that shock, before they apply another shock therapy. Because if they keep applying this shock therapy after shock therapy, I'm afraid the Nigerian citizen may not be there for government to govern.
All right, talking about timing, actually, the question here is, are we not more like postponing the evil day if what is needful is not done now, in spite of how much hardship is going to tell on the people? The earlier the better, so that it wouldn't be like we're living in a fool's paradise where we know that the doomsday would come, and so the government has decided to take the bull by its horn.
No, you see, when a doctor is treating a sick patient, we've all been sick. They'll tell you take 2 Panadols in the morning, take 2 tablets in the afternoon. They don't tell you take the 6 tablets at once. Why don't they tell us like that? When you are sick, you go to the doctor. You have a headache, and they say take Panadol, 2 tablets in the morning.
What if the therapy requires you taking the whole tablet?
No, generally, this thing has to be gradual. They have to be progressive. You cannot say because you have a headache, you buy one packet. You buy one packet of Panadol
for a long time.
Yes, we have been paying, but you see, the effect of removing it goes beyond what we are seeing. It can have political effect. It can have socio-economic effect. It can cause a disruption of the entire system. We don't want to go back to the days of NSAS. By the time a man earns total remuneration in a month is 100,000, and you need 80,000 to fuel your tank, you need another 100,000 to buy electricity. You are already talking of expenses of about 200,000 when your salary is 100,000. So what do you do? So that's why I call it the shock therapy. I agree with you. We have been on subsidy for too long. It is no longer sustainable. But the withdrawal must be done in phases, must be done with a human face, if you like. I haven't done because look at it, with fuel and electricity going beyond the reach of even the elite, all small businesses may pack up. Even your studio now, you need electricity to run it 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then, of course, thank God the price of diesel is gradually coming down. But even when you don't need diesel, it will be difficult now if you're on Band-Aid, for example. I'm sure if you were paying $1 million as your monthly electricity bill and you're on Band-Aid, running a station as big as ITV, you probably will now need 5 million. And how much is your revenue? That's the point. And this is ITV, a big and old establishment. What of the small barbing salon, the small restaurant, the small eateries? The electricity bill will eat up their entire profit and even eat into their capital. So this thing must be implemented. This shock therapy of removing subsidy from all aspects of life that we have enjoyed since independence must be reduced gradually in order to maintain socio-economic cohesion, not to cause disequilibrium in the society. Because at the rate at which we are going, my own take-up pay now can't take me home. Because I have a car that I used to fuel with 6,000. Let me give a personal example. I used to fuel my full tank 6,000. Today I filled it with 31,000 naira and 70. 30,000 naira and 70. That's 31,000. And it takes just a week. So in a month, 120,000 goes for fueling. And then my electricity I used to recharge for about 50,000 naira a month is now about 160,000 a month. If you add that, how much am I earning? And then you don't look at people who don't even earn as much as I do. We are not talking of food. We know that the prices of food has skyrocketed in the market because inflation is over 31%. We are not talking of other necessities of life. So that's why the announcement yesterday that the president has set up a consumer credit corporation. So that we allow Nigerians to purchase necessities on credit, houses, cars, and this student loan law that will enable students to apply for loan. They are all good, but removal of subsidy should be done in phases and should be done gradually. Having now done removal of fuel and electricity, there should be no more removal of any subsidy for a long time to come, so that we have time to acclimatize and get used to the fact that we are going to have to be paying more for electricity and we are going to have to be paying more for fuel. Then for electricity, Another good thing that happened about 2 days ago was that presidency says 4 of the discos will be sold or something. I think the one in Edo, one of the worst in the entire continent of Africa, not even in Nigeria, because you don't have light in Edo.
Out of mismanagement.
Yeah, well, I don't know whatever is the problem, but they don't just give light in Edo. You know, you go to Benin, there's no light. People run their generator, they run their life with generator or a solar panel, which doesn't cost cheap. I understand the one from Ibadan. I think the one in Kano and one other one 4. They will be. They will be. Yes. So that is another good. Those ones that are not performing, they should be removed. Because if you are charging 225 naira per kilowatt on the basis that you will provide electricity for 20 hours a day, if you produce electricity for 10 hours a day, you have breached the contract. You are no longer entitled to that 225 naira per kilowatt for the 10 hours you provided electricity. It must be 20 hours.
How about the customers that are not metered?
Well, for the customers that are not metered, that is their responsibility to ensure that every electricity consumer is metered. I am metered, and you see the meter running fast, immediately you recharge. So it is their responsibility. They are selling meters for 150,000 for 3-phase, 80-something thousand for single phase. Meters should even be given free to people. Once you build a house, they should give the meter free, because they know they are going to be collecting money on a monthly basis. You know, I'm thinking about it now. You know, when this our electricity from NEPA and HPM or whatever they became after NEPA,
Yes,
PHCN, yeah, PHCN.
Yes.
You know, when it was privatized about 30 years ago, you see, the wrong people bought those companies. People who didn't have experience in electricity, people are not. For example, the people running Benin Electricity were bank managers or directors in banks. So professionals were not allowed to buy. They bought it believing that because electricity is a daily thing, consumption is on a daily basis, they spend 300 billion or 400 billion to buy them, believing that, like the average Nigerian businessman will always do, that within a period of 2-3 years they will recoup their money. Forgetting that investment such as this is a lifelong investment. In fact, not lifelong, it's an investment in perpetuity. Those who bought now will enjoy, they will run, they will die. Their children are supposed to take over, because as long as there is human beings, Homo sapiens on the planet, or in this country, Nigeria, there will always be the need for electricity. And there can be no development without electricity, because all the industries, all the productive sector, they need electricity to produce. Without industries, there can be no development. And without electricity, there can be no industries. So we need to generate more electricity. The quantum of electricity that we generate is too small for our population. We need to generate more, and we need to distribute more, and then we have to find a way to bring the price of electricity down, because now it is unaffordable.
Yes, but be that as it may, you know, the target here is that at the end of the day, like you said, you should be able to, you know, achieve a balance and equilibrium, like you used the word. If at the end of the day, the government of this able to achieve its purpose, you know, by this increase, wouldn't that be some kind of uhuru? You know, wouldn't that be some kind of gladness, you know, for Nigerians?
Well, what I am saying, while you have your eye on the ball, on the goal,
yes,
you also think about the impacts, the social, economic, and political impact on the citizenry. Without the citizens, there will be no government. And without the citizens, there will be no nation. A nation is not made up of trees, rocks, and mountains and rivers. No, it is made up of us human beings. If you look at Europe, for example, they are even given subsidy for electricity, for energy, especially during winter, because it has become so expensive. Because what we are facing in Nigeria is a global problem. It's not limited to Nigeria. There's a global economic problem, global economic recession, if you like. And this is the time that government ought to be helping their citizens. But unfortunately, we ate our fruit many years back. We've eaten our fruit. Yes. And that's why government is saying, we can no longer give you this fruit. It's time for you to give back. What I'm saying, that the process of giving back must be graduated, must be done gradually. It should not be something like the example I gave before.
Yeah, but even at this level, the government still says it's gradual. You know, for the ordinary Nigerian who is not on band A, you know, they insist they are not going to pay the hike. And the question is, a lot of Nigerians are asking, who are those who are on band A?
Ideally, should there be discrimination? Because when you now say band A, band B, that's discrimination as far as I'm
But that's
concerned.
more like the people who, use the light and are more like the elites.
So the elite, do they really need electricity more than the common folks? How many of the elites have small and medium scale businesses that requires electricity? How many elites run barber salon? How many elites run betting shops? How many elites run mechanic workshop where they need electricity? Welders shop. How many elites? These are the people who produce the wealth of a nation. That the people who produce the wealth of a nation. Like if you tell me now, for example, you want to concentrate electricity in Aba or generally in the southeast region of Nigeria, I will understand because there's a lot of production activities going on in the southeast. Innocent, for example, Innocent should have dedicated electricity line that gives him 24 hours electricity. I'm sure if he does that, the price of his locally produced cars probably will reduce. Now, I don't know if there's any difference between the price of Innocent made in Aba and the price of a Toyota that is manufactured in Dubai or in even Japan. So we need to realize the correlation between electricity generation, distribution, industry, and development. And if we realize that this need for band A, band B, band C is a reflection of our inability to generate enough power.
But have we been able to properly regulate the sector?
We can regulate if we allow the private sector, those who know. I am a lawyer, for example. Why should I go and apply for electricity license? It should be business. It should be the business of businessmen and engineers.
But the government has not really hands off, from electricity. Some people say they should completely, just like they did when it comes to the days of NITEL, and see what has happened to our telecommunications today.
I agree. And then the new electricity law that was passed by this government we also help.
Okay.
It has now allowed electricity has been taken away from the exclusive federal government, and states and even local government now can now provide their own power. So I agree that government is something. Yes, the telecom thing is a clear example. In this country, years back, we used to go to NITEL in Benin to be able to make foreign calls. And when you go there, you see a long queue of people waiting. And when it's your turn, God help you, at times it will not go through. There will be no, what do they call it, that tone. There will be no tone to even dial abroad after waiting hours. But it was commercialized. And then MTN came in, Airtel came in, Glo came in. And today, in our pocket, we can talk with anybody all over the world. So I agree. Government actually should divest itself from the production, from the transmission and distribution of electricity business. It should be for professionals and for businessmen. I agree. We did it. We summoned the courage to do telecom, and we are the better for it today. Nobody complains about NITEL. There was a time when the Minister for Information in this country once said, telephone is not for the poor.
Exactly.
I'm sure he can't say that now, because even in the most remote part of Nigeria now, people have mobile phone.
All right. Because we're running out of time on this topic now, have Nigerians seen enough of removal of subsidies, especially after the hike in the electricity tariff? Should we get another kind of removal of subsidy in any other area?
For me, if there is any other area government is still subsidizing Nigerians, please, they should continue to subsidize for another couple of years.
How long?
Maybe for another 2-3 years, because these ones that has been removed is choking the Nigerian people.
But this
present
choking. Government wants to make a statement.
No, in 1 year in office, this government has made serious statement. This president will go down in history as one of the most serious, dedicated president in terms of commitment to liberating us economically. The policies are there, but they will need time to develop, and then we can begin to enjoy the benefits. But in the process, I want to be alive to be able to enjoy the benefits. If removal of electricity and removal of fuel subsidy kills my enemy before then of what need is the program of the government. So for now, if there's if there are subsidies in the agricultural sector, that should not be tampered with. In the most developed economies in the world, including America and Europe, they subsidize their farmers. That's why they are able to produce enough food. And when they produce enough food, they are unable to sell. They take off the food, wheat. From time to time, American government buy wheat from their farmers, throw them into the ocean, in order to encourage the farmers to continue to produce more wheat. So in the agricultural sector, they should not remove. In the educational sector, well, with the student loan scheme, I'm sure the Nigerian students will be very happy. The Nigerian youth will be very happy. Nobody will say, I'm unable to go to the university because my parents don't have money.
Can they access the loan?
I believe it will be accessible. They are starting with a pilot scheme of 1.2 million students. Because the president schooled abroad, and he knows that abroad people have access to student loan. Like this consumer credit is setting up in Nigeria. That's what nobody. Nigeria is perhaps the only country in the world where you take 100 million to buy a house. No American will take not 100 million, but let's say $1 million to go and buy a house, or even $200,000 to go and buy a house. If you need to buy a house of $200,000, all you need to have is to have 10%, $20,000.
But they have mortgages, you know.
Yeah, that's what this credit system is going to do. It's a mortgage system for housing. When you buy a house in Abuja, the houses are very expensive. You buy a flat for 30 million naira, for example, in Abuja.
Yes.
You put 5 million naira down. Then every month, maybe it's you'll be paying like 100,000 or 200,000 every month until you pay. People who buy houses in Europe, they don't finish paying it in one generation. A man buys a house, he pays mortgage, he dies, the son inherits, he pays mortgage and dies, the grandson inherits. Maybe it is the great-grandson that will finish paying, and then the house now becomes freehold. That's the way it is, and that's the way it should be here. Look at car, for example. You go to where we don't buy new cars here. 99% of Nigerians buy used cars.
Used cars.
Used cars. You go to a used car shop now, you look at a 10-year-old Camry, they say 15 million. If it's abroad, that 15 million, all you need to put down is like 2-3 million. And you drive the car away. And every month, as you get your salary, you pay 100,000. In a month, it's 1.2 million. You use the car for 6-7 years, you sell, and then you go and bring another one, and you keep paying. They call it car notes in the US. Television, even telephone. You buy your telephone from any of the service providers, and every month you pay $50. You take a $1,500 telephone, every month you pay $50. So we should have it here. So these policies of the president, policy after policy, they will take time to mature. It will take some time for the benefits to go round, but ultimately they are policies geared towards economic emancipation and empowerment of Nigerians. But what I'm saying is that in order for us to be alive to enjoy it, there should be no more further removal of subsidy in any aspect of life that we are still getting subsidy.
And of course, you know,
I can only think of any now.
But you know, too, a lot of Nigerians would not like the government to move in a snail pace, you know, because after in fact, we're almost going to a year into this government. He has, you know, less than 3 years thereabout. And then someone else may just come and abort or cancel all this.
Well, I think the policies and programs of this presidency and this government, they are so fundamental
that they can be continued.
Yes, I believe that whoever succeeds him after 8 years will have no option but to continue. And if they attempt to remove them, I think Nigerians will rise up against them. If students are benefiting from the student loan, then you tell the greatest Nigerian student that you are no longer giving them loan, they will paralyze the country. Or Nigerians are benefiting from civil servants who are going to start benefiting from this credit corporation, you tell them no, they will shut down the country. So I think the programs are fundamental. They go to the root of economic development. And I think whoever will succeed this president after 8 years will appreciate and see the need to continue the programs. Unlike previous governments, when a program is started, a new government comes, then you jettison it and start your own afresh. These are fundamental economic programs that needs to be perpetuated for the country to grow. So I am not afraid that anybody will come and jettison them.
All right, Barrister Harry Idehabo, we must thank you sincerely for coming to Perspective today. And of course, your thoughts are well taken. So thank you very much for talking.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's the size of Perspective this week. Henry Idehabo is the former Attorney General, Edo State. And until we come your way again next week with another topic on Perspective, My name is Gabriel Zachary, and thank you for being with us.